TLO, what's poppin'? We are on Twitch. We are not live, but possibly we're gonna be live. Today is you can leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notification bells, man. Let's continue to grow the family from Chicago to the UK. We got it is document. Still sick as shit. Still like a sinus cold or something. We are on it is Documentary Monday. And we got London Gangster. This is on LAD Bible TV. London Gangster on the one killing that haunts him. Okay. That sounds fair. I'm interested.
President Kennedy. I said, and I want one chamber, one buckshot filled with rock salt.
Wait, what?
I said, at 7 o'clock in the morning, go and get Kennedy. That was my sign-off shotgun. It was named after President Kennedy. I said, and I want one chamber.
I like how this is starting. This man nicknamed his sawed-off after...
One buckshot filled with rock salt, and the other one with the normal buckshot in, all right? Yeah? I'm not messing about with these people. They're dangerous. I'm going to shoot them.
Talk about it. And y'all know I ain't never lacking. I do reactions with my gun out. Scream out TLO and get the bus until it run out. No, I'm just
People called me a gangster. I didn't like it. One guy called me a gangster, so I stuck a gun in his mouth and educated him that I weren't a gangster.
Whoa.
And I said, look, I'm a businessman and my business is crime.
Tell me about your childhood.
Well, my family was all
I actually feel that.
straight goers. I was the one who corrupted them all because they'd never seen so much money as I was earning. So they was all straight goers. My dad was a builder. My mum was a stay-at-home mum, like she had 8 kids. I was the baby, so I got spoiled. And I went to good schools. I went to grammar.
It's always the youngest child who the toughest nigga in the bunch, because the younger siblings feel like they have to defend and live up to all the older expectations, so they're gonna defend everybody.
And 2 bent old Bill from Stoke Newton. I was walking through a park, a couple of my old school friends. One of them met off a starting pistol, so the 2 coppers come in, and they started getting heavy with them. And I went, "Oh, you can't do that." I said, "You've got to have a responsible adult there." He went, "What, are you a lawyer?" I said, "No, but I know my rights." And he went, "Okay," walked out. They come back, threw a razor on the floor, cutthroat. And he went, "We're nicking you, but that come out your pocket." I went, "What are you talking about?" So they nicked me, took me to Stoke Newington. He said, they said, if you plead guilty, it'll be a £10 fine. If you don't plead guilty and you go up the steps, he said, you're going to get a balls for all that. So I done guilty. When I've gone back to work, of course, they've read it in the newspaper, I lost my job.
Damn.
And with criminal record, it was very hard to get another job. So what opened up to me, I thought, if you're going to...
And that is the system wrapped up all in a bow right there. What
make
the
me
fuck?
a bad guy, I'll show you how bad I can be.
Can you talk to me a little bit about what was the first thing you did?
We was bashing people up for money. And they said, this guy owes us 500 quid. Well, in them days, the average man was earning 12 quid a week, so 500 quid's a lot of dough. And they would give you 10%. So I thought, that sounds good to me, it's a good bit of business, So I'd go out and back them up, because they took a liberty anyway, they tried to rob the geezer, they turned him over. So I didn't mind tuning them up. And I got my bit of money. And then I thought about it, I thought, I'm taking all the risk and you're earning all the dough.
Yeah.
And I don't need you. I now know how it works. They
don't need you. They needed you. No, you didn't need them. They needed you.
educated me. Worst thing they done. Someone said to me, do you want to come on an armed robbery? I went, yeah, all right. I'm only sort of like 16, 17. And I had the gun. And we held up a post office van. And it had nothing in it. They told me it was... So I made a right mug of myself. I don't mind admitting it. I really messed it up. And we went up the Old Bailey, and I got a senior detention centre for 6 months. Very brutal places in them days,
So you robbed somebody. You robbed the post office, is that what you said? And it had nothing? And then you got caught and did time for it. For nothing, okay.
It would be done there for child abuse, And I see them beating kids up, and it brought out an anger in me. And when I come out, my dad was waiting, bless him. He went, "No more guns and all that." I went, "No, no, no." I said, "Leave it to me." And when I got out, I put my own firm together then. And they were all hungry, they all had criminal records.
Tell me about your firm then. What were you called?
They just used to call us the chaps, you know, the chaps are about. And I always dressed nice. And I come out and I thought to myself, right, there's business to be done here. So I noticed that there was a lot
It's like a real mob boss feel to him, like a mob mentality.
of like Chinese Indian shops opened up. So I had the bricks put through their window for 2 times. Then I went into them and I said, "Look, we can stop this happening for you, you know? It's not nice." I said, "People sitting down here trying to have a Chinese or an Indian, and a brick comes through and hits them side, yeah, they ain't going to come back. But we can stop it happening for you, yeah? And if you get a problem, you can phone us and I'll come and sort the problem." And I'd already had the reputation then for carrying a shooter, so we started up the business,
Real life stepper rep.
the insurance business. Some people call it extortion, but it was an insurance business.
No, sir, it was extortion. You threw the brick twice, and then you told them we can stop this. That's extortion. But that's smart.
Then we had a bit of gang warfare.
Who was that with?
All the little firms, because there weren't enough money for all of us, you know, so I wanted it all for us. The cake weren't big enough to...
He was beefing with Pete and Bass back in the day. Had to be.
Why have a little slice when you can have a big slice, you know? It was just business sense. I didn't hate them, I didn't dislike them. You know, good luck to them, but don't step on my toes, you know, because I want it all.
That's real. That's real N-word energy. I feel that. He said, "Don't. This is just business. I don't have no personal problem with you. Don't step on my toes because I want it all. But I'm gonna step on your toes. Simple as that. You don't gotta like. You don't gotta like me. You don't gotta respect me. But just don't disrespect me because I'm coming for everything." That's deep.
What would happen if they kind of came onto your town?
Well, they did, and I fired guns at them, and then they realised not to mess with me. So it cool. But it got to bad, really
He's so smooth.
bad stage, you know. I got done for a bank robbery. I got not guilty on that. But then I think the police targeted me. They knew I was bang at it. They used to come in the pub and I'd be sitting there, because in them days I didn't drink. I drank a bit of lemon, you know. And they used to walk in and go, "Hello, Mr. Governor." So I used to go, "Hello," because, you know, being polite.
Hello, Mr. Governor. I don't want to sink anybody's matters.
We'll get you. We're watching you. We're going to get you. We're going to put you away for 30 years, because this was about the time that the Crays and the Richardsons was going away for 30 years, and like train robbers. So they're talking big numbers now.
The Richard Gang, a gang based in South London in the 1960s, also known as the Torture Gang. The Crays, English criminal in the East End of London. Okay.
Where before you used to get 5 or 6, you know, but now you're talking double figures, which is a serious bit of work, you know. It got to a stage where it became ridiculous. Like if someone got cut or shot, it was Bobby Cummins' that firm done it. If they caught a cold, it would be me who give it to them. If there was a car accident, I arranged
They was blaming you for anything. Boy.
it. You know, it got really ridiculous.
Kind of made you graduate from the kind of racketeering and that stuff to more of the violence?
Well, the thing is, I mean, we just came up against violent people. There was other gangs, you know, who wanted what we got. And no way they're going to have it. I mean, at one stage, I'm sitting in the pub, all my pals having a drink because they were drunk. And Tony the Greek come in to me. He said, "You know the fish and chip shop where your mum and dad goes?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "Well, they're in bits." He said, like, a couple of Turkish guys got their daughter on heroin and trying to get her out on the game. And I went, "Do what?" He said, "Yeah." And I know this family. They're hard-working people. You know, they're in that fish and chip shop from dinner time, working through to night time, you know, covered in grease, and they're nice people. He said, "And they know about you, they've heard about you, and they want to talk to you and make it go away." I said, "Okay." So I got up and see him, and he had this biscuit tin, bless him. And he opened up the biscuit tin, he had rolls of notes in it. He said, "Bobby," he said, "you know," he's crying, his wife's crying, and I felt bad, you know. And he said, "You know, these people, terrible people, you know, told me what they'd..." He said, "And we don't want the problem, we work people." He said, you know. I said, "Don't worry, I'll make it go away." So he gave me the biscuit tin, and it was their savings. And I take money off of them. I'm going to nick it off the people who really got it. So I said, no. I said, what you do, if we come in here, we get fish and chips free, and if my mum and dad come up here, you give them their fish and chips free, okay? I said, and that's the price. He went, no, take them. I went, no, I don't want your money. So I come out, and Frank was sitting in the motor. He was my driver, old Frank. He went, what's going on? I said, tomorrow, I said, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I said, bring the car round. So he said, what are we going to do? I said, we'll go and get Kennedy. That was my sawn-off shotgun. It was named after President Kennedy, because my birthday's 23rd November, and he got shot on the 22nd, so I named the gun Kennedy.
Wow. That's why the gun was named. That's tough. Tell us again. Let me hear that again.
Because my birthday's 23rd November, and he
Okay.
got shot on the 22nd, so I named the gun Kennedy. I said, and
So, Kennedy was reincarnated in a sawed-off shotgun.
I want one chamber, one buckshot filled with rock salt, and the other one with the normal buckshot in, all right? Yeah? I'm not messing about with these people. They're dangerous. I'm going to shoot them. So we go round to this lockup, and they had this, like in them days, they had these little lockups, you know, under the arches and all that sort of thing, or in little back alleys. And they had a car business there they was doing. So I got out the motor, got the sawn off, one's under the car, I walked in and I shot him through the leg with the rock salt. He was screaming, but rock salt was good because it melted away and left no forensic. You know, when the blood hit it, it melted away. That's why I used it.
Wow. He said one buckshot was filled with rock salt. Do y'all know how painful salt in a wound is?
Walked straight into the office, I threw my coat back,
And no forensic.
pulled out the sawn off, and I went, I'll blow your f***ing head off. I went, how about that? I said, if you ain't off the manor in 24 hours, I'm going to blow your brains out.
What does it feel like to shoot someone?
Well,
Well, I weren't shooting in my head, right, because they used to say, how they do it, so you don't feel bad about it. They'd say, we've got a rat. So you dehumanise them. They're not a person anymore, they're a rat. So what I'm shooting is vermin. So I had no problem with that. And they was doing bad things to people, you know, terrible things. And so they knew the name of the game when they was doing it, so they knew the rules. If you were a rat and you roll over, you get shot or killed. So it didn't matter to me in them days. I didn't. If you
it's a good way to look at it.
started thinking when you're going to
I mean, if you're going to look at it a certain way, YouTube, keep in mind, I personally do not condone any of this. I'm just giving my perspective from a Chicago standpoint.
shoot someone, you start thinking about wives, kids, grandmothers and all that. You couldn't do it. So you've got to dehumanise them so that they're just an object to be targeted, and you target them and you do it. And you watch them because you don't want to be talking to one of their pals if you're going to shoot them in case it went back to them and they'd be on guard and it'd be harder to do. So you'd have to stalk them for a little while, know their whereabouts, what they're doing, where they go, who they talk with, you know. And then you'd find a place, you isolate them and you shoot
That boy
them.
was lurking.
It's like anything where you're shooting them, cutting them. Once you've done one, half a dozen ain't too many. Because if you live with that, you become hardened. And that's why it's very hard for you to show love and emotion, that sort of thing, because you've got to bring the shutters down. Because if you don't, you'd go insane. Or you put one in your own mouth, you know. It's like an evolving thing. You go from one step to the next step and it gets more violent, more aggression. And in the end, it don't matter, because you're only doing rodents anyway. You know, you're doing rats. There's four people.
Hey, listen. My man's right here was shooting no civilians. He was walk down gang. He was pulling up to your place of business, hitting you with rock salt in your... Come on, man. Take notes, man.
3 people you can't do in this world, yeah? You can never do if you're a villain. And that's a straight goer, yeah? It's the
Facts.
media,
Civilian.
yeah?
Media, because the media's just going to do their job. That's why I get mad when motherfuckers always come at YouTubers and channels for plug channels, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're doing their job.
And Old Bill, you got to be a lunatic if you shoot Old Bill, because they're never going to give
Old
up
people,
on you. You
yeah.
shoot media, it's all over the papers, and you're not going to earn no money. It's not profitable, you know. And this is where people got me wrong. They, you know, that guy called me a gangster. I found it really offensive, you know. To me, everything was
Everything's for a
business.
profit? Okay.
It didn't matter whether I liked you or didn't like you. If someone said to me, "There's X amount of pounds, we're in on shot in the leg," I'm going to look at it and think, right, if I shoot him, I get caught, I'm going to do this much jail. If I'm clever and I don't get caught, that's my money if I shoot him. So it's not as glamorous as people think. You're watching people around you. You're totally paranoid because you don't know if someone's going to pick up the phone and grass you up to the old bill. So you're watching your own type of people. You're watching the lunatic who thinks, well, if I shoot him, I'll get a good reputation. So you're in the crowd.
Facts.
You're the celebrity in the crowd, but you're the loneliest person in the world because you don't know who the enemy is around you. You're always watching. And
oh man, that's real raw rap right here.
it's not a nice place to be.
Here's the 3 main causes of dog.
The shooter is always the loneliest. Who's that? H?
To manslaughter, do you
Yeah.
want to talk to us a little bit about what happened there?
That was a bad one.
To manslaughter, do you
Yeah.
want to talk to us a little bit about what happened there?
That was a bad one. That's the only thing I've got on my conscience that I have to live with. That is the hardest thing I have to live with. Someone chokes on a gag on a bit of work, and they choked on their vomit. And
Do you want to explain what that is?
it's a bad place for me, Like we've done 100 times. You tie them up, you gag them, yeah? You go, the police come, untie them, boom. You make sure you've got your smother on so no one knows who you are. I used to wear a crash helmet, blacked out visor, and so no one knows who you are. If I could undo that one, just that one, that would be the only thing in my life I would undo. It should never have happened, If I'd have shot them or something like that, yeah, but, on a gag and they choke on their vomit, it wasn't a nice thing, and I have to live with that, And even to this day, I have to live with that.
He's a businessman. He's a businessman with a heart. With somewhat of a heart. But nah, he ain't got a heart. With a conscience, there you go. That's the word we're looking for.
Innocent, and you don't do that in my world. You don't do innocence. And no, that one I feel terrible about. But when I go to church, because I'm Catholic, I believe in that sort of thing, I always light a candle for that person. Like I do my mum and dad and my daughter who died, I light candles for them. It's a respect thing, and I say a prayer for them,
Wait,
I always light a candle for that person. Like I do my mum and dad and my daughter who died,
oh man, his daughter died, R.I.P. No parent wants to outlive their kid. I mean, I know he a killer, but damn.
I light candles for them. It's a respect.
Has caused you so. Why do you think the death of that victim at your hands has caused you so much?
Because he lived by that code. He just explained a little bit ago. He said he was innocent. His point was not to go there and take that man out. His point was to go there and put some fear in him. That's it, right?
The mental pain.
Because it should never have happened. I was prided my self on good work, clean work, I was out there to earn money. I wasn't there to hurt people. If I had to hurt them, that was because they put themselves in a position where they had to go, And it's the same, when I was doing villains, I didn't care. If they come up against, oh no, they're going to stab or shoot me, I'm going to give it to them first. So
Right.
that didn't count, because we lived in a different world to everyone else. We lived in our own world amongst our own people, and we all knew the rules.
Right, it's just like hidden licks. Hidden a lick is a organization. Hidden a lick, like robbing somebody, another organization. You know what come with that. You know what I'm saying? Can't tell on anybody. It come with that. I get what you're
So
saying,
you were
my
sent
boy.
to prison for manslaughter.
Yeah.
When you were there, what was prison like?
It was a university of crime. You learned other people. Like if I now had the connections. If I wanted a dodgy passport, I know someone who's doing dodgy passports. If I wanted, a dodgy checkbook account, got people to arrange that. If I wanted to deal in drugs, I'm meeting some of the best drug dealers and smugglers in the country. If I wanted to make bombs, I'm talking to the IRA and people like that. There was in Parkhurst, which was Britain's Alcatraz at the time. You had the most dangerous men in the country there. I was in there, It was the most politest place I've ever been in my life, because everyone's a potential killer. If they ain't killed, they're already up for doing it. And so everyone said good morning, no one pushed in the queues. If you forgot to say good morning to someone, they could get paranoid, think you're plotting up on them and kill you. And also, when you're in prison, you ain't going nowhere. And we all know how to kill people. There's many ways you can kill people. One of my pals, they had food boats, he took an onion, and it was another geezer had already nicked it. And the guy went, that's my onion, and he went, go on your bike, because he could have a row, he was a boxer. and the guy stabbed him through the heart with a butcher's boning knife and killed him, so he died over an onion. You didn't serve your sentencing
Don't go to that motherfucker.
KA
man.
prisons. You survived KA.
Niggas is dying over onions. Like, god damn. Well, food is like commerce in there, and food, like, that's the one thing you don't mess with is somebody's food. So I get it. But niggas, that's
You know?
Sounded just as violent as a street.
No. Prison was worse than the streets. In the streets, you could have a punch up, a carve up. In there, you're going to get killed.
What was life like then when you left prison?
It was easing up a bit. Well, they shut Parkhurst down in the end, and so the KA prisoners there and the violent, extremely violent, organised crime units was all moved to like Belmarsh, Long Lartin, places like that.
spread it out.
Was it hard saying goodbye to your criminal past and going straight?
Well,
Yes.
my wife had my daughter, was pregnant with my daughter, and I made a rule that my daughter would never sit on the other side of the prison table. I'd never let her experience prison. I lived a quiet life, you know. I didn't go back to London. I went
That's a stand-up guy right
to
there.
live in Kent, you know. And I saw the beauty of things. When you're locked up, like you go out, you walk through a park, you're on your way to work, you're walking through a park, you don't see what's happening in that park. But to me, I'd stop, I'd look at squirrels, I'd look at trees. I used to sometimes do really weird things like take my shoes and socks off and actually walk on damp grass, you know, just to feel what, because I didn't have them experiences. I was in
Just to feel morning dew on your toes. I get it.
concrete tomb. I was buried alive in a concrete tomb for years. I look at it now and I think to myself, I've got such a beautiful life now, you know. I've got peace, you know. Now I've got a sweet life, and all the people in, you know, in the village where I go, they all know me. I get on well with them. I'm very polite, and you know, if some of the old girls, I'm in the shop and they can't afford, you know, the bread, or they can't afford this, I go, I'll put it on my account and I pay. And it's that little bits of kindness, not throwing here, here's 20 grand. It's like, go on, I'll do that bit of shopping for you. But that word goes around that village and they go, no, he's a nice guy. So I'm known as a nice guy, and I like that. Even the little kids go, oh, hey, Bobby, hello, Bobby. I go, all right, how's it going? You being a good boy? Yeah, well, no. And off they go. But then I really got into the education. I was going to schools, de-glamorise crime. I was going to prisons and talk to prisoners and de-glamorise. I say, this is what's going to happen to you. And I can get away with that because they know I'm doing it, I'm talking from experience because I've done it.
Yeah.
And you don't get any worse than killing people, you know, so people take you very serious. They don't want to upset you anyway because they don't know if you still do it on them.
Would you have ever thought back in the day when you were committing those crimes that you would be kneeling in front of the Queen collecting an OBE?
No, that never entered my
Kneeling in front of the Queen and collecting an OBE. What the fuck is an
head.
OBE?
I did what I did because I believed in what I was doing. I didn't want another kid having the life I have. I'd like them to have the life I've got now. It's very nice, thank you. So I had this letter, and it said, you know, one Buckingham Palace, one that you've been honoured with, on the Queen's honour list, New Year's honours
wow.
list, and we want to give you the OBE, and you have to accept it.
Order of British Empire
Because,
and honor from the
you know,
Queen reward people who make a significant impact in their line of work. Hey. Low key, I wonder if he thought, listen, this is for back then when I was doing what I was doing. I was making an impact, and now I'm making an impact.
You accept it, and I phoned him up. I thought it was one of my pals made a moody letter up and having a laugh. So we phoned him up and they went, no, this is serious. Will you accept it? Well, I'm a total royalist, so of course I'm going to accept it. I said, of course. I go there and you go through this side entrance. And as I'm walking up to the front of Buckingham, well, I pulled up in the car, as we get out of the car, Buckingham Palace, I'm looking at Buckingham Palace, and my head flicked back to when I was a kid, and my dad used to go and take me to watch changing the guards and that. And he said to me one day, he said, see them people there? I went, yeah, he went, they're the toffs, right? He said, when you're going through that door, that's when you know you made it. And that day I walked through that door, I thought, I wish he was alive now to see me walk through the door, because all they see me was as a villain. They didn't see me as a straight girl because they would died. And I'm standing, but I'll tell you what, I don't fear no one. I don't fear nothing, I don't fear no one. But I stood in front of her, and it was a really weird feeling. It's like your mum standing there, you've been a naughty boy, you know.
What did she say to you?
she said to me, "You've got a very..." Because everyone asked me that, what did she say? And she said, "I must say, I've never met someone like you. You've got a very colourful background." Well, I thought that was the poshest words of someone saying to me, "Cool, you've got a lot of form," you know what I mean? You bang at it.
Getting your OBE must have been a really proud moment. What advice would you give to your younger self?
So that's a very tough question.
Forget religion. Forget colour. Forget sex. Boils down to...
Whoa.
Forget religion. Forget colour. Forget sex. Boils down to, in life, two things. Are you a good person or a bad person? That's all it boils down to.
Do you ever miss the old life?
Oh, sex as in male and female, not the act. Okay.
So I had to go through hell, right, to appreciate heaven. And that's what it is. You have to see ugliness to appreciate beauty.
That's deep.
You have to
That's deep. Okay, I
witness
feel that.
hatred and venom to appreciate love and kindness.
That's facts. That's facts. There's a lot of shit that I see now that I appreciate that I wouldn't see, that I probably wouldn't appreciate or overlook if I didn't have the path that I had. TLO, leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications. This is the start of Documentary Monday. Let's go.